Today is April 10th, 2021.
Hello.
My name is Veronica. I'm interviewing Belinda Paiz for the University Library Special Collections and Archives at the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, hereafter abbreviated as UTRGV. This project is in partnership with the Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin. Please know, Ms. Paiz, that this interview will be placed in the University Library Special Collections and Archives at UTRGV and shared with the Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin. If there is anything you do not wish to answer or talk about, I will honor your wishes. Also, if there is something you want to talk about, please bring it up and we'll talk about it. The University Library Special Collections and Archives will archive your interview along with any other photographs and other documents you are willing to share. UTRGV University Library will retain copyright or non-exclusive right to the interview and any other materials you donate to Special Collections and Archives at UTRGV. Because we are not conducting this interview in person, I need to record you consenting to make sure you agree with our interview procedures before we continue. So, I'll ask you a series of 6 questions. Please say, yes, I agree, or no, I do not agree, after each question. Do you give University Library Special Collections and Archives at UTRGV consent to archive your interview and your materials at the UTRGV University Library? Please say, yes, I agree.
I agree. Yes.
Do you grant UTRGV University Library Special Collections and Archives rights, title, and interest in copyright over the interview and any materials you provide?
Yes, I agree.
Do you agree to allow UTRGV University Library Special Collections and Archives to post this interview on the internet where it may be viewed by people around the world?
I agree.
Do you grant the University Library Special Collections and Archives consent to share your Zoom interview with the Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin for inclusion in the Voices of a Pandemic Oral History Mini Project, which will include the posting of this interview on the internet?
Yes, I agree.
Do you wish for us to share the rest of your interview in your public file available for researchers at UTRGV University Library Special Collections and Archives?
I agree.
On occasion, UTRGV Special Collections and Archives and Voices receive requests from journalists who wish to contact our interview subjects. We only deal with legitimate news outlets. Do you give consent for us to share your phone numbers or your email with journalists?
No, I don't agree.
Okay. Belinda, I want to thank you in advance for your time. Your stories and experiences are valuable to us at UTRGV Special Collections and Archives and the Voices Project. Particularly for us at UTRGV Special Collections, we are committed to preserving the stories of Mexican Americans and Latinos from South Texas and the Rio Grande Valley, and those who work closely with these populations during this COVID-19 pandemic. Because you are a member of a population noted to be especially vulnerable to COVID-19, we treasure the opportunity to learn and understand how the pandemic has affected you emotionally, mentally, and socially. Being a former teacher for over 2 decades, we are also deeply excited to learn about your perspective of the benefits and drawbacks of online learning. The stories and experiences you have lived through will now become a record of some of the most unprecedented and memorable times in global history. We look forward to hearing your story. So, before I ask you to share stories about your life in the pandemic, tell us, who is Miss Belinda Paiz? Where did you grow up? What did you go to school? What was your life and your hobbies?
Okay. Well, I was born in Mathis, Texas, a small little town. When I was still about 2 years old, we moved to San Diego, Texas, another small little town. My dad was a mechanic. My mom was a homemaker. I was the second of 6 children. When I went to school, I spoke only Spanish because that was the language of my parents and my grandparents. My parents could speak English, but my grandparents could not. So I went to school speaking only Spanish. When I entered school, we were not allowed to speak Spanish in school. We had to learn English by just watching TV if you had one, or the radio, and just listening to what the teacher was saying and trying to understand what she was trying to tell us. But we learned. So I graduated from San Diego High School in 1968, salutatorian. Went to college, what was Texas A&I University in Kingsville. Now it's Texas A&M University in Kingsville. Got my bachelor's in elementary education. Continued, started teaching in San Diego, elementary, middle school mostly. I went back for my master's, got a master's in bilingual education, and I continued in San Diego, middle school, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade teachers, and retired after 35 years of teaching from San Diego. So I lived all my life in a small town, San Diego. Now I live here in the valley with my daughter and my grandkids, and I retired and enjoying retirement a lot. Very happy. I go back to San Diego once in a while to visit my siblings, and I live here. That's my life in a nutshell.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So the first question I want to ask you is, when did you first hear about COVID-19, and how did you hear about it? Was it the radio, the television, your children, social media?
Actually, I was in San Diego. I had just had hip replacement surgery and was there for convalescence. And I was getting ready to come back to the Valley in March when my daughter informed me about this COVID that was just being known. So I drove back here to the Valley to stay here. And I learned through her, and then of course through the TV and news media.
Okay. What was your first reaction to the information coming out about COVID-19?
Well, I didn't think it was a big deal when I first heard about it because, the president didn't make anything big out of it. So I said, okay. Then I just kept hearing how bad it was getting. So then I really got concerned. So at first I would not be going anyplace. I was mostly here at home.
At what point did you realize this pandemic was a serious life-altering event? Or do you not think it's serious?
Oh, yeah, I did because, my daughter is very well informed, so she told me about it and insisted I wear a mask when I went anywhere or not to go anywhere for a while. She would not let me leave the house. She was concerned because of my age that I would get infected. So my grandkids would do the shopping, and I just stayed mostly at the house for several months, matter of fact, until I said, hey, this is too much. I need to get out of this house once in a while. But yeah, I knew it was a big deal because people were dying. And then I was very concerned because I didn't want to get sick. So I stayed home most of the time at the beginning.
Over the last few months, what news media, social media, or other sources do you rely on to keep you informed about coronavirus?
Mostly the TV, the news stations. I watch CNN once in a while, a couple times a week. And of course, the daily news in the evenings. On internet, I Google sometimes, see how things are going with the COVID or as far as vaccines are concerned and stuff like that.
Okay. Can you share with me what you understand about COVID-19 as an infectious disease and any of its variants? Likewise, can you share with me what you don't understand about this new coronavirus?
I never really got to understand how it came about, how it started. I knew it started in China, but all I know. But as far as its contagiousness, yes, I know how it's passed on. So I usually try to wear a mask and social distancing, this kind of stuff that's required of us. But I was very concerned because it spread so quickly, and so I know without realizing it was all over the place, and a lot of people dying. Friends I know that passed because. Fortunately, my family has not been, only I think one member was affected, but not severely with the COVID, a mild case. But other than that, my family's been very lucky. We've not been very affected by the virus itself.
Thank you. Can you tell me what you know about the various vaccines available to the public? How do you feel about these vaccines?
I know there are 3 different manufacturers that are producing the vaccine. I did get my vaccines, both injections from the Moderna. I don't know what the difference is. I think they mostly do the same, have the same outcome, except that one of them is just one shot instead of 2. But I think they're doing a good job with it. I just hope everybody would get serious and take the immunization that people are not taking it seriously, I guess.
On that level, do you have any family members who hold the same beliefs as you about COVID-19? Or are there some who take it more seriously or more lightly?
We all take it very seriously because well, I'm the eldest of my siblings, but we do have younger children, grandkids, and nieces and nephews, and we don't want them affected. So we have all been willing to take the vaccine. I think most of us have already gotten vaccinated as far as my family is concerned, except for the younger ones they've gotten their first vaccine. The middle teens, older teens, but the younger ones under 16 have not had theirs yet, of course. But yeah, we're all willing to get it done.
Thank you so much. Let's talk a little bit more about your personal life and how it has been directly impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. As a member of an at-risk population, you mentioned that until recently, you'd been strictly quarantining at home for several months. What were your first thoughts when you were asked to quarantine at home? How long did you think it was going to last?
I thought it would be just a matter of a few months. My daughter said, "No, stay home. Don't go to HB. Don't go to Walmart." So I said, "Okay, I'll stay home. No, I'll listen to you." But after several months, it gets kind of tiring just being in the house. And fortunately, we live out in the country where there's not very close neighbors. I can go outside and get the fresh air, whatever. But it's very confining. You get tired of just not being able to socialize with your friends or go anywhere. Just stay home. And now I can go out some, but still I limit myself. I don't socialize like I used to. I just go to the stores back, one quick trip and that's it. I'm still concerned about it.
All right. At which point did you begin to feel negative ramifications from being quarantined at home?
Okay, so it began like a year ago, March. So by summertime, which is not very long, I'm sure, but I was getting like cabin fever, I guess. Being just locked up in here, wanting to go out somewhere, go visit somebody, go take a trip somewhere. I was just getting tired in the house.
Would you say that was the hardest?
Yes, definitely. It's depressing. It was. It's very depressing just being in the house, not being able to go out to visit a friend. Not saying you talk to them on the phone. It's not the same as actually visiting and talking to them, going out to lunch with them or whatever.
Right. You mentioned a while ago that you have siblings living in another town a few hours away. Do you feel that you missed any important life events with your family because of the stay-at-home order?
Yes, we missed several, of course, holiday occasions. We always get together as a big family to celebrate holidays, Easter, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and we're unable to do that in the last year. So yeah, it was disheartening, and yeah, we miss each other. We talk on the phone, and now this just past few months, I've been able to go down there more frequently to visit with them, but it was hard at the beginning, not being able to go visit and celebrate with them occasions.
So the pandemic impacted family traditions, customs, and holiday celebrations. How would you say it affected yours?
My family has always been one where all the siblings, myself included, get together at my parents' house. My parents are deceased, but their house is my house now, so in San Diego. And we gather there for all holidays and occasions, my siblings and their kids, and of course, it's a big family. There's 5 of us now, with the grandkids and the in-laws. So we have a good time, and we used to all just gathering there every occasion. And it was hard not to go to our old house and celebrate together. It was difficult to just each one our own house, quarantine. It was very difficult, very depressing.
If you attended any weddings, graduations, or funerals, how did the pandemic make these events different from pre-pandemic times?
Okay, I was not able to attend. We did not attend weddings, funerals. I attended a funeral just there. We went to their house, but of course, everything. So it's not as intimate as it was before. It's more social, not as social, not social, but you can't really connect with somebody if you're sitting apart and can't hold hands, can't hug, stuff like that. Just wearing a mask. muffling through it.
I can
It's
imagine
very
that was
difficult.
hard for you. Right. Is there any
It was.
moment that you experienced during your time in quarantine that you felt was particularly memorable? It can be a good moment or a bad moment.
Um, Bad moments, like I said, are when we were not able to get together for Easter of last year, for example. We always got together for Easter, celebrate the spring and piñatas and the barbecues, and we could not do it. Each family had their own little party. That was very sad. We got together this Easter at my house in San Diego, just the siblings, my siblings, and there was one, two, three, four of us were there. And some of the kids, and of course, had their other stuff to do, but there's a big, about 20 people there, which is a good number, but we were all been immunized, thank God, and we had a good time. That was very, very important to get our family back together.
Absolutely. You mentioned that you received the COVID vaccine. Can you recall how you felt when you first learned there was an available vaccine?
I couldn't wait to go get it. I was anxious, but of course, I would go to, I went to Mercedes to try and get the COVID the first time they announced it was available, but the line was there the previous night. So I said, no, it's too long. So I went back home and found out about one, and I was able to get on the list, and I went and got it, and that was my first one. So I was very excited. I mean, I'm anything to help, stop this, and get back out to where we were before.
Okay. You mentioned several of your other family members received the vaccine as well. How do they feel about it?
My younger sister is a dental hygienist. She works in San Antonio, so she was able to get it a little bit after I did, and her husband also. They were anxious, of course, to get it. I have one sister who was at the beginning kind of reluctant, but all of us other siblings got our vaccines with no problems. So she finally got hers this past week. I'm glad to say, it made me very happy. She got her first vaccine. Her husband did too this last week. So yeah, we're all covered.
Congratulations to her. People have been talking about a return to normalcy for people have been talking about a return to normalcy for months and what they wanted to do once the pandemic was over. Can you recall the first thing you wanted to do, and have you had an opportunity to do it yet?
No, I think the first thing I want to do is go somewhere like a weekend trip with my family and just enjoy ourselves. But I don't think it's going to happen for a while because I mean, even if you go to like a park or you still have to wear your mask, social distancing, you go to a theme park, same thing, So I don't think it's going to get back to normal the way it was before for a long, long time. But I'll just keep hanging in there and wait for that to happen.
That's all we can do sometimes. How did it feel to see your extended family again after such a long time apart? Do you feel any of your relationships have suffered because of the distance?
No. It was great to see everybody. I try and keep in touch with them, phone calls, or texts, messages, what have you. But yeah, no, it's great seeing everybody together. And no, we have not suffered because we're very close knit, so we try and stay in touch all the time, regardless of what the circumstances are.
How did you keep in touch with your friends and loved ones while in quarantine? Was there anything specific you did to keep yourself entertained?
I did a lot of reading, watching TV. We stayed in touch through telephone, of course, and text and messages. I talk to my sister at least once or twice a week, and my other sister also, two sisters and two brothers. We stay in touch. I talk to all of them, each of them, at least once a week to see how things are going, how everybody's doing. But yeah, it's been difficult. So I've done a lot of reading, like I said, and a lot of watching TV, a lot of nothing else, not much to do.
All right. I truly appreciate you taking the time to discuss your personal life with me. For my next set of questions, I would like to transition us to a more personal perspective. Before retiring, you were a teacher. I'd like to ask you a little bit about your opinion regarding online learning and in-person instructions. To start, how long were you a teacher, and what made you decide that it was what you wanted to do?
I was a teacher for 35 years. And I wanted to do something because I've had very good teachers when I was a student, and I wanted to do what they were doing. So I went to college. I was the first in my family to go to college. I was the only one of my siblings to graduate from college. My sister went to dental hygiene school, and she became a hygienist. But other than that, my other siblings did not attended college. They began to college, but they did not think it was for them. So they didn't follow. But yeah, I wanted to help, I guess, and do what my other teachers have taught me was important.
That's wonderful. What subject did you teach?
I taught, I guess it was middle school, high school. I taught the language arts, which is reading and language. And then when the computers became a thing, I was told at the beginning of the school year, guess what? I'm interviewing. The principal told me, guess what you can do this year, Miss Paiz? I said, what? Computer classes. Okay. So I got a couple of weeks intensive training, how to turn the computer on, how to use it, and then I had to go take a computer college class to learn about computers so I could teach computer class to seventh graders.
That's
So I
incredible.
taught that also. It was for me too. So that's what I taught for several years. Then I went back to reading. So I basically stayed in the language arts and then the computer classes as a teacher.
So you were around when computers first became invented and when they first became a household thing. What did you think of them when you first heard about this new technology?
Yes, it was a Radio Shack model. So we had the big old like dinosaurs, one piece, a screen and keyboard together. Couldn't do too much with them. I mean, what we would do mostly is just teach how to use it, programming, write little short programs. We did not have all these programs that are available now where you can do a lot of it more than what we could back then. By the time before I retired, yes, we had gotten some programming that we could use. We had the what you call it, Windows. We could do writing of papers. We can do PowerPoints, this kind of stuff. So it grew rather quickly, and the kids really enjoyed it.
Great.
They made good use of it.
Can I ask what the demographics were of the school that you taught at?
The population of our school was 99% Hispanic, of lower income, most of them, below the median income.
Wonderful. And from such a specific population, do you felt that your students taught you anything while you were a teacher?
Yes, I did learn from them a lot of how life was, because we were middle income, my parents and I, but the lower income kids, I realized just how poor some people actually are. When there's a small town, you don't actually get to see everybody. As a teacher, I try to be empathetic with my students and realize, hey, not everybody has what I had growing up. So I would try and help out as much as I could, kids who could not afford some of the school supplies, this kind of stuff that parents just could not afford it. So I always try to have stuff available for kids who needed something there at school.
Okay, thank you so much. How did you react to the idea of online learning when you first heard about it?
Well, I thought it was a good idea because I didn't see how the kids were going to school and be safe. My nieces and nephews were doing online learning. I got to see them do it when I went home a couple of times. It is a little more difficult because one of my nephews is mentally challenged. He's got some issues. So I could see where he was struggling. I think we need to get back to the classrooms where you can have teacher interaction with the students. Online learning works to a point, but you actually need to have student-teacher interaction to get some of these kids where they need to be.
Okay. You have school-age grandchildren and nieces and nephews. Can you recall any specific complaints or praises they may have had regarding online learning versus in-person classes?
One of my nieces was having a very hard time with math. So her father was able to help her with some of the problems, but you know, it's hard to teach math to a freshman in high school if you are limited in your knowledge of mathematics. So you have the teacher there. It was very difficult for her. She's back in the classroom now and she's doing much better. Now she's having the teacher interaction.
Great. So what were your first thoughts when the governor decided that public schools were going to be opening again?
I had mixed feelings. I know the students need to get back to the classroom. But then I had concerns about their interaction with other students. You know how it's supposed to wear masks, but you know, the younger ones, how much trouble it is having them to wear a mask and stay with it during the day. But I don't think there have been any, well, at least I'm speaking from experience in my family's point of view. They have been doing well, and so far nobody's been infected, or teachers have been in San Diego, where I'm talking about. Teachers have all been immunized, so they're doing good, and the kids are doing well, I think, back in the classroom. My nieces and nephews, two of them are in band, so they're really having a good time with that. Now they can practice their instruments, which makes them very happy.
Great.
So that's good.
Do you feel that teachers who don't want to continue in-person learning should be accommodated?
If they have a very good reason why they don't want to go back, I think we'll let those that don't want to go back do the online learning. Yes, I can't force a person to do something that they feel very strongly about. Like they don't want to go because they're very afraid they're going to get infected or what have you. Then you have to accommodate some of those. I think we do.
Okay. From your experience, do you believe that there will be long-lasting negative impact on children who have received only online instruction during some of their most important school years?
I don't know if long-lasting is the word, but as of right now, speaking from experience, getting my family members that I'm familiar with, they're a little behind where they should be at this part of the school year. So it has affected those, but I'm hoping that maybe with the rest of the school year and maybe next year they'll be able to catch up and get to where they should be at this point. Right now they are lagging. They're behind where they should be.
Do you have any specific suggestions for how we could improve this lagging?
Well, not right now, because I know before we used to do tutorials after school, but that I don't think would be a good thing right now, because that'd be too many hours of school. Parents might not want their kids out there for so many hours because of the COVID, but maybe in the long run, you do some of that, or I'm not sure. It's something that has to be worked on by the administrators.
Thank you so much. This was a very enlightening conversation. Now to close, I'm going to ask you just a few final questions. Do you feel satisfied with the way the Texas government has handled the COVID-19 pandemic?
As far as immunizations, I think that we have had, well, not sufficient, but we've been getting a pretty steady number of immunizations out to the public. As far as the governor's stand on not requiring masks or any of those preventive measures to be taken, I do not agree with that. I think we need to wear the mask and social distancing to complete our getting away of the COVID, getting rid of it, because if we're not going to be doing that, and some people don't get immunized and they're out there without masks or any social distancing, it's just going to keep on and on. We need to get rid of it once and for all. Get everybody immunized, stay with the masks and social distancing until we are sure that we've got a handle on it.
Great. Besides the masks, are there certain policies that you would have suggested we put into place, whether on a local level, a federal level, to improve the outlook of the COVID-19 pandemic?
I think that we should have gotten notified about this epidemic a lot earlier than we were to prepare for it. It caught us all by surprise, as not just because we were suddenly quarantined, but because we were also in a panic over as far as groceries and stuff like that. We were looking, where could we find this? Where can we find that? There was a shortage of stuff at the groceries at the grocery stores. Everybody started panicking. I think could have been handled better. Maybe as slowly told us what's going on. We need to take certain steps, but it was just kind of thrown at us overnight. And everybody just panicked and went to the grocery stores and wiped everything out. That could have been handled better, I think.
Do you think that the Rio Grande Valley has been impacted more or less than other regions in America? And if so or not, why do you feel that way?
I'm not sure I can make that statement, because I don't really go out and see what has been affected, not affected. I know that where there have been immunizations, there's always a large amount of people out there ready to get immunized. But no, they're doing that down here. The schools are opening up, which is good. But as far as we've had a big total of deaths at the very beginning, and that was not very good. But I'm not sure how it's being, what's going on right now. Because I don't go out very much, like I said, but I'm sure it's been pretty much the same as everywhere else.
All right. Thank you so much. You mentioned food shortages earlier. Was there a time where you ever felt that you had to go without because of shortages?
No, we were lucky that we were able to get to the grocery store and buy what we needed, but it was limited, of course. But we always have a stock of what we need. We always have plenty of stuff, so we were not lacking anything. If anything, I shared with some of my friends some supplies that I had that they might possibly need, like toiletries and stuff like that they didn't have. So it was hard in the beginning, but we managed and we shared with people who didn't have anything, and that's what people were doing, helping each other out.
Thank you. Last question. Is there any specific quarantine story or memory that I have not asked you about that you would like to share? It could be a moment that impacted you or others.
During the quarantine, we went to Thanksgiving dinner last year, still quarantined in the house. But that's when my brother, we found out afterwards my brother-in-law was infected with COVID, but he thought it was just a cold, so he was by himself in the bedroom in the back. Fortunately, he smart enough to stay away from everybody else, so he got a mild case of COVID. Nobody else was infected with it. We all checked out okay. But yeah, that was an awakening moment, because we always think, hey, we're playing safe, we're social distancing, we're washing our hands, wearing a mask, and still my brother-in-law got infected. Where and how? Heaven knows, but it was an eye-opener. So yeah, we took it more seriously after that. We were getting kind of, it's okay, but no, we woke up again and still out there. Don't let it get you.
Did he have any long-lasting negative ramifications of contracting COVID-19?
No, he was fortunate. He went to the doctor the following Monday, and he got antibiotics. It was not a very severe case, just a little bit of congestion in the chest and a cold and a sore throat. But no, he had no lasting effects, and he was over it in about 12 days, 2 weeks at the most. But it was a very mild case. He was lucky.
Is this your only personal experience with someone who has contracted COVID-19?
On a personal, close to my family, yes. I have a cousin whose husband passed from COVID, and I wasn't able to go to his services because of the distance and because I didn't want to go out there, with COVID still out there. So we were just able to talk on the phone, and that was it. I couldn't make it to his funeral.
I'm sorry to hear that, ma'am.
But other than that, no, we have not been affected any more than just that.
I'm very glad, and I hope in the upcoming months we can begin to return to normalcy and you can hopefully again start to see your family more often. I wanted to, on the behalf of the Rio Grande Valley, the University of Texas, like to thank you for your time and your interview today. We really appreciate it, ma'am.
You're welcome.